I try really hard not to fall under the spell of premium luxury brands. I mean, in fact, I go so far as to say that I pride myself on being able to objectively evaluate a Corolla Cross and an M3 and a McLaren 720S, for example. Clearly, over the last almost 25 years and a few thousand cars driven, I have failed countless times and miserably. Porsches and Audis and Mercedes-Benz and BMWs. Now, about this BMW, see, this is the new 2022 i4, BMW's all-electric 4 Series 5-door hatchback. We don't speak of hatchback. But the thing with this car is that, well, there are a lot of things with this car, in fact. One of them is that immediately when it became available on press fleets globally, every headline that I read, I wouldn't read the review because I never want to be influenced, but I like headlines and social media posts, obviously. Everything about the i4 was uber positive, as though BMW was reinventing the EV wheel already. And I will admit that although I tried, after moments, seconds, after pressing the blue start-stop button and traveling about this far, I got it. I understood. There are a number of reasons why that happened. One being that this is not just a regular eDrive 40. No, this is an M50. Yeah, it's an M50. Now, the thing with EVs is that although there are still few available for purchase, not really, they all still bring something to the table, right? Be it because of the performance, the instant torque, the efficiency, the unique styling and packaging. And, well, the i4 ticks almost all those boxes, but for slightly different reasons, especially when it comes to styling, because if you don't know that this is an i4, you might mistake it for just a basic 4 Series Grand Coupe. I love that. Not all is perfect about that, though, but that's just what's going on between my ears. Anyway, in the following walk around, we're going to do the usual walk around. In the following video, we're going to do the usual walk around. Wow, maybe it's the sun, the wind, I don't know, or the drive, because the driving this thing is just completely boxy, bonkers. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, this thing has 536 horsepower, and this is, like I just said, it's kind of like your regular BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe, but with 536 horsepower, and this is an M50, right? So it's not even a full fat M. It's just a slightly decaffeinated version of an M. So what's an M4 or an M3 going to be like? 800 horsepower now? What is this? I hope all of us who are buying EVs are putting aside a lot of money to replace tires. Anyway, look, I think I already said that and this, right? So, okay, please stay tuned. Okay, if we just jump into styling, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that if this i4 was parked in a lot alongside a regular 4 Series Grand Coupe, and they both happen to be Portimao blue, from a certain distance, even close enough, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two cars unless you know what you're looking at. As you'd walk closer, yeah, you'd notice that the valence in the rear looks, or diffuser in the rear looks a little bit different. And, well, this is probably the most telltale sign, at least to me. The rocker cover panel thingy here looks immense compared to the regular 4 Series Grand Coupe. Not to mention the fact that this car looks jacked, as though it was sitting on a giant battery. But I mean, overall, the profile, the proportions, the dimensions are very similar, if not exact, to the regular 4 Series Grand Coupe. Right down to this thing. Look, designing a car is a very complex activity, and if it makes it through, and designers are geniuses, they know what they're doing, and if a decision sticks after it's done, well, people just get used to it. So that's my message to me and you. Get used to it. It's here to stay. It won't, thankfully, graduate to every model in the lineup, at BMW, or maybe it will, who knows. All right, so let's just talk about pricing right away. In the US, the base xDrive 40 is $55,400, and the M50 xDrive is $65,900. Now, I don't know how this is possible, and I will be honest, I didn't dig that far in, but in Canada, the xDrive 40 starts at $54,990. I don't know how that's possible, because the i4 M50 xDrive is $72,990, and that makes a lot more sense. So the basic equipment in the i4, BMW didn't mess about. I mean, you get a 12.3-inch IP, which is merged with a 14.9 touchscreen in in a curved display. It's quite impressive. You get the single motor in the xDrive, you get the dual motor in the M50, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and all the other bells and whistles you expect from a BMW. Now my car, this one right here, has lots and lots of options, as you would expect, such as the Premium Enhanced package, the Advanced Driving package, the BMW laser lights, which are actually really, really cool. I mean, this is a good shot actually, styling visually. It's very, very snake-like. Yeah, that's it. It's got the Vernasca leather inside with the highlights. Anyway, I'll show that to you in a few moments. These 19-inch wheels, which are optional, for a grand total of just over $87,000. As I do, I guess, a final tour, if you want to buy an i4, you can place an order for an i4. But do not expect to take delivery of it before late 2023, which means by the time this video goes online and is seen by 4 people, you're probably going to be into early 2024, but that is today's EV purchasing reality. Okay, so yeah, you also get a power hatch, so let's do that right away. I can do this. Good speed, I like that. That's 470 liters of trunk space, so it actually works out quite well, I think. Look, the depth is okay, the width is not enormous, but it's still quite nice. Storage under here is, well, not really storage. There's your Harman Kardon stuff, so essentially that's just extra storage there. Snow brush, because I live in Canada, you never know when it'll start snowing. Okay, here's a bunch of little details. It has real door handles. I mean, it doesn't mean they won't get stuck or frozen in the winter, but real door handles. And there we go. I'll leave my junk lying around. Okay. Yeah, Vernasca leather with the blue highlights. It's cross-stitching. It's just gorgeous. Harman Kardon audio. Getting in and out, Grand Coupe style. My driving position. So, tons of leg room. I mean, there's nothing really novel or insane here, but this dashboard is pretty damn impressive. Can I do it from the back? Yes. You can kind of see that it's curved. But it looks very normal, very BMW-ish, which I absolutely love. Just like the styling, the exterior styling of the car. Okay. The biggest problem getting in and out of here is how narrow the bottom is. If you can see that the seat is almost 2/3 of the way into the opening. So, oh, details from an old man. Yeah, I mean, look, everything is just very typical BMW fare, and I don't think I can put enough emphasis on the fact that it feels and looks normal. Speaking of looks, other than my shadow and the phone, you can kind of see that the screen is curved. Excuse me, it looks really, really nice. The seats, as you would expect in any BMW, they're just look how fat the bolsters are, and those are power adjustable right there, you know, the side bolsters. Very, very comfortable. Slide in here. And I kind of just showed you, but I mean, there's a real shifter. Real. But yeah, so there's the blue start stop button. And your digital IP, which is configurable, but that's not entirely what's important. I guess we'll just touch on storage. There's a little bit. That about sums it up. Where it gets complicated is when you want to do a few things. Actually, oh my goodness, so many things to say. I'm going to crash all over the place. Okay, these are your drive modes. Okay, so from the drive modes, okay, so let's just go right up here. So comfort is essentially your default setting, and as far as I'm concerned, it is the best, most interesting mode you can use. It just does everything brilliantly. I'm showing you this now because I will play with it as I drive. So you also have an Eco Pro, and you can set an individual drive mode too. I will admit, I did not really play with Eco mode in this car. And then there's Sport. Sport out of the box is quite nice, but even in Sport Boost, where you get, well, I guess the name describes it on its own, you get a little bit of a boost of power and responsiveness. I don't really think it's necessary. Sport Individual is kind of interesting. Damping on comfort, steering on comfort, drivetrain on sport, and that's it. But even so, I mean, there's really no point, because the comfort mode is so brilliant. Okay, so here's what I want to show you now. This is an EV, okay? So keep track of, I'll just show this to you first. Look at this. So the screen is responsive. It's beautiful. There's so many options. I'm looking at the screen via my screen. Okay, so this is your main menu button, okay? These are all your apps and everything you can do and use to play with the car. As you can see, again, the screen is responsive. Everything works out. But this is the important one, driving settings, okay? You can skip or fast forward to the vehicle apps by pressing the button there, not the button, the screen. Anyway, driving settings, okay. The driver assistance is self-explanatory. Charging, this is, you know, you can set your target charging and when you want to program it and all that, blah, blah, blah. That's nice. This, okay. So this, here we go. Energy recovery and D, that's your brake regenerating modes. Low, medium, high, adaptive. The point here is to show you how many steps you have to take to get to this menu if you want to switch it on a regular basis. I've set it on medium because it just seems like the smarter way to drive on a regular basis on a daily, on the daily, without having to play with all these menus. So that was that. I guess, what else can I say? Oh yeah, visibility is okay once you start over here, but as you work your way along to this side, you can see that this is a massive blind spot and does make left-hand turns a little bit more difficult than they need to be. Anyhow, let's just do that. Let's go shred is the word I believe I used. Now, see, the good news about everything I just showed you and the complex setting up of the brake regen system settings, business and all that, is that you can do it only once. As I said, I left it in medium because it seems like a good midway point for both, say, boulevard driving and country road driving and highway driving. But when you're in the city, like I am right now, all you need to do is put it in B. So it's just off the D. And it's not an unusual mode. A lot of EVs or even plug-in hybrids have a B mode, which gives you max brake regen. And in this car, wonderfully, it actually comes to a full stop. So you can one pedal drive with this car, which is another exceptional aspect of the BMW i4. There's where do I go next? As I'm driving in my little town, one of the things that maybe disappoints me a little bit, and just as a reminder, I'm in comfort drive mode, is the adaptive dampers. Now, I thought that the ride quality was going to be a lot nicer. The ride would be, or the drive comfort would be much greater, but even with the dampers set in comfort, it's a little drier in here, if you will. Dry is the wrong word. There's a little bit less give to the dampers, or a little bit less plushness than I would have liked. And I can't imagine it's like that to compensate for a less than stellar platform, which has a massive 83.9 kilowatt hour battery right below where I'm sitting. I'm fine, really. Yes, that old nugget. While on the battery, look, if you get the E40 i4, you get the same battery for both cars. You get up to 484 kilometers of range, which is right up there. I mean, that's pretty damn good. If you get an M50, well, with the extra motor, which I'll tell you a little bit more in a few seconds, you have to expect some range loss in exchange for performance and extra weight. I mean, this car weighs, as is, just over 5,000 pounds. But yeah, you'll get about 434, 435 kilometers of range. And so far my experience has been on a 94% charge at just under 420 kilometers indicated. So definitely in these ideal driving conditions, you will manage that kind of range. When it gets colder, expect 25-30% range loss, but that's not unusual for an EV in this day and age. Anyway, what is, well, not unusual, but extremely addictive is the power. Yeah, so if you get an xDrive 40, you get a single rear-mounted electric motor, 335 HP, 317 pound-feet of torque. Oh, Model 3 in my sights. If you go for an M50, you get 2 electric motors for a grand total of 536 horsepower and 586 pound-feet of torque. 536, 586. Which means this thing, Evoque Cabrio? What? Okay. Which means this thing's, I mean, you might see it. That is a rare, yeah, there it is. Oh my goodness. Apologies for that. Which means, oh no, we're gonna stay in this lane. Which means that this thing will launch from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.7 seconds. That's insane fast. This is what I'm trying to say. I mean, the next M4, the next M3, 800 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.3 seconds? Where are we going with this? And I can't wait to see where we're going with this. Like I told you about the damping, as far as steering is concerned, look, everything, again, I'm in comfort, and the assistance is fine, the responsiveness is good. The brakes feel very, very nice. I'm gonna get out of, well, I guess I'm getting off the highway now because it's traffic time. I'll go back into B. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to mess with all that. Just messing with myself, I guess. Yes, I can't believe it. You saw it again? Who does that? What's worse? An Evoque Cabrio or a Murano Cross Cabriolet? Yeah, sorry, I'm all over the map. As far as recharging is concerned, 9.6 kilowatts, level 2 chargers at home, about 8 hours for a full charge, which is your typical overnight charging. On a DC fast charger at 50 kilowatts, it works out to about 100 kilometers of range per 22 minutes of charge, which I can't math very well, so say from 20 to 80%, you're looking at, I don't know, what are we looking at? We're looking at about 45 minutes, give or take, which is more or less average-ish. But if you do find 150 kilowatt DC fast charger, you're looking at 7 minutes per 100 kilometers of range, which now makes it far, far more interesting. And this thing is capable of 205 kilowatts of charging, which is pretty damn good. So if you can find like a 350 kilowatt station, you're in and out in almost no time for a 20 to 80 state of charge. I kind of just gave you an idea of the power of this car, and it's just completely insane. I mean, short of a Model 3 performance, or I don't know, Taycan Turbo will keep up with this, and that almost doesn't make any sense to say. But in your little, in this case, 87,000. Otherwise, you get the same performance for about 73K in 18 to 24 months from now if you order it today. There's tremendous value in that, and I never thought I would say that about a BMW EV. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. Look, this car is exceptional. I mean, strangely enough, I just spoke to someone who spotted the i4 and came up to me and he said, I tried to order one, but I just couldn't wait for 18, 22 months, whatever the case may be. So he went out and bought a TLX. I'm not sure how you go from i4 to TLX, but hey, whatever. there's definite interest in this car, and I understand all the headlines, and because my headline is going to be something gushy and silly too, like I want one, you know. So if Munich is on the phone, like I said, i3, not the old, a new 3 Series, make it an eDrive 40 dual motor, tune it down, if you will, and it's got to be in estate touring for $65,000, and I'm going to make the switch, because this, if it looks like this and drives like this, it's gonna be incredibly exceptional. While I go on, do I ever go on?